the all-new Mercedes AMG GT 63 SE Performance. In this video, I'll talk about what this thing is from a technical standpoint, how I feel about the interior space, and obviously what it's like to drive it on our favorite back roads. So let's get started. So the 63 SE Performance is the most hardcore, most powerful plug-in variant of Mercedes' answer to the 911, the AMG GT. And on paper, it is pretty impressive. It has more than 800 horsepower, over 1,000 pound-feet of torque, but it also weighs 4,800 pounds, which is more than a Dodge Hellcat or a Tesla Model S Plaid. So, since it's a track tool, as Mercedes claims, what did they do to make it feel nimble and mask all that weight? Well, there's a lot of magic with the suspension, so let's start with that. We have the active ride control on board with semi-active roll stabilization. So instead of using traditional stabilizer bars, Mercedes decided to use hydraulics that connect all four wheels. Obviously, suspension-wise, this is multi-link front and back with adaptive dampers. But what does it all mean in real life? Well, when you're driving straight, the system can open up and smooth out the bumps even if they're only on one side of the road. So the car will feel more comfortable. But when you start cornering, the hydraulics stiffen up and keep the car more flat, significantly reducing body roll and making the steering feel more precise. So basically, the system can adjust from being super soft to super stiff, depending on the situation, and the goal is to give you the best of both worlds. Comfort in daily driving and sharp handling when you want to push the car to the limits. We also get a rear axle steering. At lower speeds, the rear wheels turn in the opposite direction of the fronts, which makes the car feel more nimble, and at higher speeds, the rears turn with the same direction as the fronts for more stability. Now, the drivetrain is the highlight of the new AMG GT 63 SE Performance, and it is pretty complicated. We still have AMG's well-known 4-liter twin-turbo V8, which makes 603 horsepower, but here it's paired with an electric motor that's mounted directly on the rear axle, and it uses a 6 kilowatt-hour battery pack. That electric unit on its own makes about 200 horsepower and is connected to a 2-speed transmission with a limited slip differential. Yes, the electric motor has its own LSD. Now, since that electric motor drives the rear wheels directly, the car gets instant boost when we accelerate or launch from a stop, and if rear wheels start to slip because of all that torque, the system can also send that electric power to the front wheels through the all-wheel drive system. So the goal here overall was to give you the power of the V8, the instant torque of the electric motor, and better weight distribution. Just like with most modern AMGs, we have a 9-speed multi-clutch transmission, which puts down the power via a rear bias all-wheel drive system, and yes, it has a drift mode, so you can disconnect the front axle and go sideways. Now, getting this beast from 0 to 60 may take less than 3 seconds, but we also need to be able to slow it down. No worries though, we have carbon ceramics on board, 6 pistons up front, single floating piston in the back, and I can already tell you these are one of the most impressive brakes I've ever experienced. We also get some help from region braking, and we have 3 different levels to choose from. Lastly, if you care about the pricing of the AMG GT, let's talk about it. It starts at a little over $100,000 for the GT43 with a 2-liter 4-cylinder and tops at around $250,000 for this fully loaded SE Performance. Okay, so we're inside the new AMG GT. Now, the cabin truly feels like it belongs to a 6-figure GT with a star on the grille. We have a beautiful, timeless design with great attention to detail, leather wrapping most surfaces, and variety of different high-quality materials. The design also features some retro touches when you look at the steering wheel or the climate vents, but that's basically where the retro ends in this cabin, as Mercedes obviously followed the current trends to declutter the interior by removing majority of buttons. Thankfully, we still get physical controls for things that matter, and there are even some capacitive controls under the display. They don't replace actual buttons, but I'll take them over nothing. Besides that, everything else is in the infotainment system. Now, over the years, the MBUX has grown on me, and while it takes a second to learn what it can do, it does have an intuitive interface and good responsiveness. It's not overwhelming despite a lot of options, and after a week, tops 2 of living with it, you'll get used to it. The digital gauge cluster is also great. It's super customizable, allowing you to change the design of your gauges from classic to sport to track. You can select a variety of information that it shows or display a full screen map. The only thing that I would change is higher refresh rate for smoother animations. Now, let's talk about the storage. I know it's not gonna blow your mind because it's GT, but it's actually pretty good and you can live with it on a daily basis. You have enough place to put your phone and drinks. The door pockets aren't too bad either. But one thing to keep in mind is that the battery for the hybrid drivetrain takes up a significant amount of space in the trunk. So if you really need more space, consider the 9 hybrid variant. Lastly, the front seats. The buckets that our tester has are on a firmer side, but they're still comfortable, and finding a good position behind the wheel should not be a problem. You can sit relatively low and have a steering wheel close to you like in a true GT. 2 seats in the back are optional, and if you get them, all I'm gonna say is that they exist. Good luck fitting someone back there. Overall, the feeling of this cabin is amazing. It smells really nice in here. You can tell that it's a true luxury product, but the question is, what it's like to drive the new AMG GT. Well, let's start it up and head over to our favorite back road. Starts up in hybrid mode, so there we go. Okay, so we're behind the wheel of the new Mercedes AMG GT 63 SE Performance. Probably one of the longest names in automotive industry. Now, a few years ago, I tested the SL63 AMG and I named it an ultra-fast luxury cruiser, but the GT63 SE Performance takes it up a notch. It has over 800 horsepower and more than 1,000 pound-feet of torque, which is just insane. And I'll demonstrate what this thing is capable of. Let's stop right here. We got a straight road ahead of us. We're gonna put it into the race mode. Let's see if this trick works. Okay. Yes, okay, so as always, left foot on brake, right all the way down. .90 to 60 in a 47-degree weather. This thing is insane. It literally took my breath away with that acceleration. The V8 itself makes around 603 horsepower. Then we have those 200 horses from the electric motor, instantaneous torque that can also get sent up to the front axle, and I'm really speechless, and it rarely happens. This is the most insane acceleration I've ever experienced in a car that has an internal combustion engine. The engine itself, that twin turbo V8, is super nice with power delivery. Maybe doesn't rev super high, but it has that raspy V8 sound. It has also plenty of torque. I mean, those 4-liter twin turbo V8s from AMG are torque monsters. Then you add that electric torque from the motor and it's a pure insanity. I really cannot describe the feeling of being pushed in the seat and what you feel when you accelerate. I feel like my eyeballs are just going inside of my head because the G-forces are insane for a street car. Now, it's a hybrid powertrain, which in normal conditions will function like a typical hybrid. And as crazy as it sounds, it's gonna drive like a Toyota Camry hybrid, meaning it's gonna have that electric motor in comfort mode to give you a little bit of that push. You're gonna get rolling, and then the internal combustion engine is gonna kick in. The car usually doesn't go below 25% of a charge for the battery, so it's not like you're gonna use it all and then you're gonna be left only with a V8. It has that power reserve. When you need it, you can use it and still get that torque and power from the electric motor. We have also regen braking. We can adjust it in a couple of different modes. Right now it's unavailable, but we have 3 levels, so we can also charge that battery as we need it. For example, you're on a racetrack, you're doing your cool-off lap, you can recover some energy to have it for later. Now, I've never been a huge fan of the 9-speed transmission that AMG makes, but in this car, the tuning is phenomenal. It is jerky in stop-and-go traffic. It is jerky when you drive around town, but when you need it to perform, it's gonna perform flawlessly. It listens to your input from paddle shifters. I still think that Tremec that the Corvette uses is a little bit better, but this is pretty impressive. Not on par with PDK. Again, PDK from Porsche is that segment leader, but this one is very good, and it also has a great logic in automatic mode. And it doesn't auto upshift when you get to the red line, so that's expected behavior. That's what you want from your super high performance track tool. Now, I'm not gonna get a chance to drive the AMG GT on a racetrack, so I will not be able to tell you what this thing is fully capable of, but our favorite back road can give us a little bit of glimpse. Mercedes obviously did some aero tricks for this car to handle well. The suspension tuning, as long as the surface is flat and without bumps, is amazing. The car feels super nimble. It provides feedback. You feel connected to it, which is something that I was not expecting in the AMG GT. We have an idea of what's happening with the front axle. We have unbelievable amounts of grip. The rear steering system obviously makes the car feel more nimble than it actually is. It is a little bit of an artificial feeling, but you can live with that. All right, let's pop a UE here very quickly so we can have a little bit more fun. And thanks to that rear steering system, this thing is very maneuverable. All right, drive, we're in Sport Plus. We're not gonna launch. Let's launch it. I don't know if camera does the justice of the G-forces that happen, of the aggressiveness of those shifts, but this thing is purely insane. But going back to handling, you can get the car to rotate in tight corners. Obviously, the 4MATIC Plus is a rear bias system, so no complaints in that area. The front end feels a little bit heavy. We do have that V8 and other components, but for public roads, you don't need anything more. This is actually more than you need. The brakes are just amazing. Not only do we have pads and rotors, we also get some help from region braking, and slowing this beast down is no issue. I mean, the brake feel is also great. The pedal feel is amazing. I'm really truly impressed, and I cannot even judge this car right because you have to take it to the racetrack. It has so much power, it has so much grip, but what I can tell you is that if you go on your favorite back road and want to have a little bit of fun, this is gonna be more than you can ever imagine. You will never be able to push this car to the limits. So with that, let's go into comfort mode. You can put the transmission back to drive and talk about what it's like to live with the AMG GT 63 SE performance on a daily basis. Well, the SL63 that I drove a couple of years ago was a much more comfortable vehicle. Here we have all that magic with active stabilization, adaptive dampers, all that rocket science magic that Mercedes implemented, and it works just right. The car still feels harsh. It's not a super luxury GT like a BMW 8 Series or the M8 competition or the Maserati Gran Turismo. This one feels more raw. It reminds me a little bit of the Jaguar F-Type, the SVR model with a supercharged V8. It's very raw. It gives you that feeling of a German muscle car. So you have so much power. You have that growling V8 that sounds really good, but it also feels very harsh, which honestly, after thinking about it, I think I like it, because I want this car to be a performance-oriented vehicle, especially this most powerful variant of the AMG GT. It's gonna be still a comfortable daily to an extent. You do feel all the bumps. The seats, the AMG Sport seats that our tester has, feel a little bit harder, but it's not like this car is unlivable. The only problem that I have is the MCT transmission. That's totally normal. You have to sacrifice some things for performance. It's gonna feel a little jerky. It's gonna have some rough shifts and stop and go traffic when clutch engages, disengages. But overall, I'm truly impressed. I really wish I had a chance to take it to a racetrack or at least autocross. Maybe one day will happen, but with that, let's go into the final thoughts and summarize this thing. Okay, so let's sum up the new AMG GT 63 SE Performance. Now, full disclosure, I was not able to take this car to the racetrack, so I cannot tell you what it's like to drive it on the limit, what it feels like, and how it behaves. But I can tell you what it's like to drive it as a GT. So it's not the most refined and compliant ride. You feel all the road imperfections, you feel cracks, you feel bumps, you feel potholes. So anything that the car touches on public roads, you will feel that. You feel very connected to the car, it provides you great feedback, but there's a downside of that. It will be just a little bit more tiring. Now, driving this car is not punishing whatsoever. It's still a great, super fast GT, which you can take on very long road trips, but I would recommend getting regular seats instead of those AMGs because they are pretty stiff, and after around 2 hours of driving, my back hurt a little. But if you're gonna be taking this to the racetrack and you want this to be a track weapon, get a Porsche 911 because it's lighter. No, but in all seriousness, the suspension is on another level, the steering has a great precision and feedback, and that's where you're gonna use all those 800 horsepower and more than 1,000 pound-feet of torque. Anyways, if you guys have any questions about this thing, drop a comment and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later.